All right, so in this video, I'm working on drawing out all of the frames, starting with the ones that I've mapped out on my timeline. I can see my timeline in the bottom panel, and I've got a document where I'm going to layer up all of my frames in the upper panel. So I've already gone ahead and drawn out the first and the last frames. Those are identical, and I'm working on this one right now, and that's frame number 8. And then we'll go ahead and do this one. You'll notice here I am drawing with the mouse. That is because campus is closed right now, so I can't get my drawing tablet. I'm not the most steady-handed to begin with, but this was really a challenge drawing with the mouse. So if you are planning on working digitally, check out some of the recommended supplies for some things that might make it a little bit easier. So the good thing about animation is drawing realistically isn't necessarily the most important thing. It can be really helpful, but a more fundamental skill is knowing how to show compositional changes over time, getting the timing right, making sure that you're emphasizing the things that you want to be emphasizing. And that's what I'm focusing on here, more so than drafting quality. And so the approach we're going to take here is basically divide and conquer. So once I get all of the frames drawn out, so I'm working on this one right now, I'm going to go ahead and try to fill in the gaps. And we can usually start by drawing a frame that's in between, like we're doing here. I have frame 45 and 48. I need to fill in then 46 and 47. So I can look at both of those sort of bookend frames and draw some positions that are in between. And this is pretty much the same exact approach that I would take if I were drawing by hand. The difference would be I'd be stacking physical pieces of paper on top of each other, maybe using some sort of a backlight to see through them more clearly, and drawing frames that sort of help me to transition from my beginning frame to my ending frame. So you can see here, I'm making some adjustments to my frame numbering. That's another great way of working this way, is that we have some flexibility while still having a framework from the frames that we have mapped out in our timeline. And so you can see here, I'm working on this part of the sequence where the squashed circle is sort of pushing the bar off to the right-hand side of the screen. And what I want to happen there is some acceleration. So when that push happens, I want the movement of the bar to be a little bit slower at first and then to increase as it moves to the right-hand side of the screen. And so that's something that I'm just able to pay attention to visually as I'm working through these frames. So you can see we have frame 41, 42, I'm working on 43, and so that gap in between the position of the bars in each frame is getting bigger. That means it's going to be accelerating as it makes that motion towards the right. And really this is just the standard approach of filling out a hand-drawn sequence like this, is we're filling in the gaps like we see here and here, of missing frames, and we're using our key poses as a reference in terms of what those changes should look like. I'm going to keep working here, filling out the rest of the frames. I'll post that as a separate video so you don't have to sit and watch the whole thing. But really, the process here is just filling in those gaps between our key poses that we made in a different video.